If you're looking for some killer upper body resistance band exercises, then stay tuned. Today, I'm gonna walk through a handful of my absolute favorite upper body resistance band exercises that I will choose even over free weights and machines. And also, I'm gonna show you a handful of tips and tricks to make these exercises even better and get you the most gains. Let's start out with my favorite tricep exercise, which is a crossbody extension. This exercise is like perfect for the triceps, and the force curve that comes out of a resistance band is excellent. The way you set it up, I use a high anchor point. You can start with a single arm version, and it's super easy. You just grab a chunk of band, making sure that you have enough tension at the top, kind of pulling you into that fully flexed position, and then you're just straightening your arm, keeping that elbow pinned down to your side and keeping this humerus bone basically static. It's fixed in position, and all you're doing is pivoting at that elbow joint. Big squeeze at the bottom, hold it there, and then control it on the way up. And this is just a grinder exercise. Like, you don't need to go fast. It's all about keeping that time under tension and just squeezing this thing out. And it's like the perfect angle for the triceps. This band force, the direction of the force is like parallel to the humerus, and it's just excellent all the way through the exercise. And you can really work your way up in resistance. And the other thing, like my tip for this one, once you get heavy on the single arm version, I like to do the bilateral version if you have a couple of anchor points, and you can just cross these right across your body like you're on a cable machine and just crank these out, and your triceps are going to grow. You're really only gonna need like probably 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 15 reps, and your triceps are gonna be just super pumped up. And I do these literally every single week, and it's like one of only 2 tricep exercises that I do. Next up, let's hit the other side of your arms. We're gonna do some biceps, and honestly, there's a bunch of different bicep curl variations that you can do with bands, and pretty much all of them are good. And the reason for that is because of the resistance profile that you get from resistance bands. It's going to be similar to a cable machine in that it's, you have this cable-like attachment that you're going to be attaching to. So the direction of the force is very similar to a cable machine, but you get that progressive resistance from a band where it gets harder, or the resistance gets higher the further that you stretch the band. And that is like perfect for the bicep, because as you kind of sweep through that range of motion, your bicep is going to get stronger, and you're going to end up with the peak force at the peak contraction, and it just feels really good. It makes a super solid pump. And I do a lot of cable curls, but I love doing resistance band bicep curls as well and mixing them in there so that you can get that added progressive resistance. Setting them up, you can do a bunch of different things. The biggest thing to note is you want to make sure that you have tension in the bottom of the rep. You hear a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, you don't have any tension with bands at the bottom of the rep. That's because you're setting it up wrong. So setting it up, make sure that you're using probably some kind of an attachment or an anchor point so that you can get far away and stretch that band out. One thing that I like to use is a clenched band handle, because you can literally take the band and wrap it around multiple times to take up some slack. And now I can do these bicep curls wherever I want, get plenty of tension, and it feels really good. So I can do them standing, I can go up against the wall, do some strict curls, keeping the back and everything stable so there's no cheating, and you can just drive all that force into your biceps. You could also use a resistance band bar like the Clenched Carbon Pro Bar to take some of that tension up and give you that bilateral exercise. So you can do supinated grip, pronated grip, whatever you want. You can also use the Clench Nexus bar if you want full control of the strength curve, because you have the ability to add bands and free weights to give you even more control. So those, honestly, like, mix and match those exercises to create yourself a good bicep program with like 2 to 3 exercises, and you are going to get some awesome pumps with resistance bands. Next up, for my favorite chest exercise, we're going to be doing resistance band chest flies. And why this is my favorite versus like a pressing exercise is because bands have a very unique strength curve when we're doing chest flies. It's that progressive resistance, once again, that comes in here, and it makes it unlike anything else. So of course, it's going to be like a cable fly, but you're going to have less resistance here at the starting point. Make sure that you get a bunch of tension here so that you have resistance at the starting point. And then of course, as you're sweeping through, you're going to increase that resistance, and you're going to have peak resistance when that chest muscle has a peak contraction. And then at the bottom of the rep, you have the lowest amount of tension, and it also takes a lot of stress off your shoulder joints, which is something that I feel a lot of doing like free weight flies and things like that. So that's why I love doing resistance band chest flies, and you can do them so many different ways. I love using the clench band handles because I can basically hook this up to my hand. It's super comfortable. And then of course I can stack bands on top of each other to keep going up in resistance, and it keeps the bands away from my arms. And of course you can do a number of different angles to target different areas of the chest. So I could do, you know, the chest height, low anchor, high anchor, but my absolute favorite is using a bench to do like some incline flies, or even like you can change the angle on this as well to hit a number of different things. But I just love the way that it feels on a bench because my back is supported, and I'm just very locked into the exercise, and it's super easy to set up just like this, grabbing yourself a bench and a couple of anchor points, and you can just squeeze this, and it just feels so smooth. And the pump that you get from this exercise it's very extreme. Like I have to stop, but like how I fail on this is just because the pump gets so great that it just like hurts. It's like this big, intense, crazy pump, and you're just like, oh man, I'm done. I gotta go to the I gotta take a break, jump up to the next exercise. So give these a try, and I guarantee you, you will like them. Next, I want to show you one of my favorite back exercises. We're going to be doing a single-armed, seated, chest-supported row. Now, I know that's a mouthful, so let's show you kind of what the setup looks like. So I'm using a bench. Ultimately, you just need something with a back that you're going to be able to rest your chest on or put your arm on to kind of support your front side. And then you're also going to need an anchor point that you can loop a band through and double it over like I have it here. And then I'm using a clench band handle with one end of the band on each end of it. And that's going to give you a solid resistance profile with a doubled over band. And then basically you just have to position yourself so that when you get into this exercise, you have stretch. So you're going to have to back your bench up away from your anchor point to really give you a good stretch here. We need to have tension pulling you into this fully flexed position or into the fully extended position. And I want it to be as much tension as you can possibly use and still be able to come back through and do this rep all the way. That's how you know you're doing this right, is because the stretch is a very important part of this rep, and it's a little bit tricky to set up with bands, but it can be done the way that I'm doing it right now, and it feels pretty darn good. So doing the exercise, you're starting out with that full stretch, and then you're coming back and you're pulling it with your elbow, and you're driving that elbow back behind your spine, and then you're also squeezing it into your side so that you flex this lat muscle super hard at the bottom. Nice and controlled. Big squeeze, hold it there for a count, let it down, big stretch, let that scapula come forward, that shoulder blade come forward, and then we're pulling back, pulling with our elbow, pulling that scapula back, big squeeze. And this is just a grinder of an exercise. I love doing these in the gym, and honestly, this feels pretty good as a resistance band setup. So please give these a try. All right, last exercise, but definitely not least, we are gonna hit your shoulders doing a good old-fashioned lateral raise with bands. And my absolute favorite way to set these up is using the clench foot plate and a pair of clench band handles, because it makes it super convenient and efficient to switch between resistances. You can see I got a couple of different bands set up here so that I can just go right between bands, right between sets to make it very fast. And also the foot plate kind of is wide, so it takes up tension. And setting it up, I like to just grab one at a time, cross one band through the other one, and now we're doing lateral raises. If you're shorter, you may need to wrap the band around the handle an extra time to get you some good tension at the bottom, but this is just an absolute grinder of an exercise, and the force curve or the resistance profile is very good for this because, once again, progressive resistance. So it's light at the bottom, and then it's going to get heavier kind of as you go here, and it's just the way that it feels compared to like doing a cable machine or free weights is significantly different because it is so much harder at the top, and you can really just fight that squeeze at the top and then control the negative on the way down and just go through these reps, and you're gonna get an insane pump. You're gonna need maybe a couple sets. You can get really crafty with your sets. Like you can do, you know, just straight 3 to 4 sets, 10 to 12 reps for hypertrophy, and that's gonna work great. But you can do tons of other cool stuff as well. Like you can do reps, like 10 reps, hold it for 10 seconds, then do 9 reps, hold it for 9 seconds, 8 reps, hold it for 8 seconds, all the way down to the bottom, and it will just blast your shoulders. Another cool thing that you can do is use the foot plate and sit down on a bench so that you're doing a seated version of this. And then that'll take any momentum out, and it's going to make it even more isolated to the shoulder muscles. And it's just another good thing to throw in your lateral raise rotation. All right, there's my favorite upper body exercises. Now I want to know what yours are. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to smash that like button. If you want to see more content like this, check out the on-screen video links. We have hundreds of videos on this channel just like this for you. And if you need any of the bands or accessories shown today, head over to clenchfitness.com. We will hook you up, and there's even a little coupon code in the description if you need it. And thank you so much for watching.